The afternoon sun bakes the air above the winding caravan of vehicles, loaded down with all the personal possessions and provisions required to survive for a week in the Nevada desert. It's a scene reminiscent of the great Dust Bowl migrations of the 1930s, as the burners return home to Burning Man. The infrastructure has been laid for Black Rock City to again become home to over 25,000 citizens in an annual experiment in temporary community that has taken place in the Nevada Black Rock Desert since 1990. It's been a full year since the last of the burners picked up the last of the ashes to return the playa as much as possible to its natural state. It's been a year of change and growth for the members of Burnstream Court and the other hundreds of theme camps and art installations that figure so prominently in the Burning Man community. It's also been a year of planning, networking, and dreaming about returning once again to recreate and recreate, make new friends and reconnect with the old, and take part in the most remarkable participatory community in the world.
Community is a sense of reliance on other people. It's a sense of exchange, and it's something that can happen in an online community. It can happen in a shared living situation. It can happen in a high-rise. And if it weren't for the power of communication and the power of community that transcends the face-to-face, these people wouldn't be here. They're going to come here, and they're going to be here, and they're going to be back thanks to what happens to them being here face-to-face.
The Burnstream Court residents have started to arrive, trailing their shiny, toaster-shaped homes away from home behind them. They're setting up camp in the suburbs of Black Rock City. They've cranked up the generators, set up their awnings, and stoked the barbecue. Pink flamingos have been solidly planted and seem to frolic in the salty lake bed, as a few of the community members secure the wickets for a casual game of croquet. The air fills with the aroma of fresh-baked chocolate chip cookies, and frosty ice crackles in the cocktail shakers as the Burnstreamers begin to create community.
My name is Ray Koltes, and I live in Chicago. And I have a friend, a longtime friend, Mike Kuniavsky, who lives in San Francisco. And for years he'd been telling me about this event that he attended every August in Nevada called Burning Man. And his stories, his pictures, his descriptions really made it sound like something that I wanted to experience for myself. In a phone conversation with Mike, he mentioned that he would be willing to fly out from San Francisco and drive with me to Burning Man. Probably a couple months before we left, we were getting ready to leave, and he made a suggestion that I put out a call and see if we could get some other Airstreamers to camp with us, that might be kind of fun. So I created an email list, and I publicized this list on the Jackrabbit, which is an email newsletter distributed by the Burning Man organization. And we ended up having 4 Airstreams parked together that year at Burning Man in 2002. We called ourselves Burnstream Court. In 2003, we got, I think, 10 Airstreams parked together. We set it up like a trailer park, had some pink flamingos, and we sort of camped it up. And boy, we had a blast. It was really that year that I realized that this was sort of the nucleus of a community that was forming within the Burning Man community. But having an Airstream was never intended as a requirement. It's more interest in Airstreams that I wanted from the beginning to be the focus. I'd love to see us take up a whole city block at Burning Man and have, you know, just tons of Airstreams parked together. I think Airstreams together can be really beautiful in formation, and that it would be really fun to show that off in the desert.
Periodically throughout history, there have been small achievements that might not have seemed very dramatic at the moment, but quickly came to represent major advances in human cultural and societal development. For the participants of Burnstream Court, there are 2 achievements that seem to be oddly symbiotic in their influence upon the Burning Man experience. These achievements belong to Wally Byam and Larry Harvey. Their respective innovations, the Airstream travel trailer and the Burning Man community, have, for the Burnstreamers, culminated in Burnstream Court, a Burning Man Airstream community. Wally Byam built the first Airstream in the backyard of his Los Angeles home in 1935. From these humble beginnings, this visionary leader and adventurer fashioned a unique approach to community. In the late 1950s, Wally led Airstream caravans into some of the harshest, most inaccessible environments known to man. Wally was a great proponent of immediate experience, self-reliance, and creation of community. In fact, Wally was something of a prophet, foreseeing in the 1940s and 50s the eventual evolution of individual societies into one world community. Wally's determined application of the Airstream travel trailer to his pursuit of a world community via the Wally Byam Caravan Club International brought about a cultural phenomenon that continues to this day. Burnstreamers see themselves as a new generation of caravanners, a community of adventurers whose participation in Burning Man embodies Wally Byam's vision of community. They also see themselves as participants in a movement of radical self-expression and an experiment in temporary community, which extends Wally Byam's concept of community into the Burning Man cultural phenomenon. "51 years after Wally Byam initiated the concept of the modern, motorized, movable community with his humble Airstream travel trailer and adventurous caravan club, Larry Harvey and Jerry James celebrated the summer solstice on San Francisco's Baker Beach. They created a wooden man, and they set him on fire. As the wooden man burned, we're told, a woman took hold of the burning man's hand, and thus was born the first spontaneous participatory performance of Burning Man." In the years since the man first burned, the Burning Man phenomenon has evolved from a simple celebration of the summer solstice into a community of radical self-expression with a culture of acceptance. It is a participatory community located in a harsh environment that requires participants to work together in order to survive. It is a utopian metropolis built on a foundation of celebration, personal responsibility, gift-based interactions, and open sharing of self. It is a society without rules other than those required by all societies to ensure the safety and security of its members. It is an experiment in temporary community. The Burnstreamers ascribe to Larry's vision as they create and recreate the Burnstream community each year. They're also watching and observing the Burning Man experiment, hoping that they're party to a self-determined path of enlightened self-expression and a newer, better world community.
I think that we need to regain a world in which things become meaningful again, in which we open our hearts, share our energies. What has happened quite spontaneously is that people have gone forth from this 8-day gathering, this temporary city, and they begin to reconvene the experience in their hometowns.
In their everyday lives, Burnstreamers spend time with their friends, do their jobs, buy their groceries, rear their children, feed their pets, live their lives. But when they come to Burnstream Court at Burning Man, they finally feel that they've come home. Not just because they're fortunate enough to enjoy Burning Man from the comfort of their own Airstreams. Not just because they've all shed, for this 1 week out of the year, the trappings of the corporate, consumer, and institutional cultures they've left behind. Not just because they're all smack dab in the middle of a barren wasteland, yet immersed in a culture teeming with humanity. Not just because here they feel safe to create and participate in the vision that has belonged to human beings since time immemorial. Not for any one of these reasons, but for all of these reasons, and especially for the belonging, for the celebration of life, the challenge of human survival, and the creation and recreation of community.
Well, Burning Man is a chance to kind of get away from everyday life, from your day-to-day, and go and experience something that not everybody is willing to even undertake, you know. They say it's a harsh environment, you know, hot days, cold nights, and you basically have to truck everything in that you need and everything out. It's kind of, you know, it can be looked upon as glorified car camping to some, but at the same time, we're in the middle of Black Rock Desert where you don't even have birds.
I'd have to say Burning Man fulfills my sense of adventure just by roughing it for a week in the extreme climate out here in the middle of the desert, just getting away from everyday life, just seeing all these amazing art cars, the amazing creativity out here and all. So it's been quite an adventure for me.
There's a lot of people here. Everyone kind of celebrates in their own way, but personally I was kind of the small-time community girl. I liked to get to know the neighbors around me, and personally I grow more from that, little intimate conversations as opposed to big raves out in the middle of the playa. And I think that's really important to take back with you too, is community is what you make of it, whether you get your kicks from tons of people or from the people right next door.
I like that self-expression of how everybody does pretty much what they want to do, you know, within, and everyone's respectful. Even if they get out there and do things, they're always kind of like, oh, making room for honoring, stopping, yielding, and feeding each other.
It's very self-reliant. You need to make sure you take care of yourself and bring everything necessary, not only to help yourself, but I remember reading somewhere in the literature that said bring 400 feet of rope, the 200 feet that you're going to need and the 200 feet that you're going to give your neighbor because they forgot to bring their 200 feet along. So it really is about making sure you have everything that you need, but bringing a little something extra to help out for the people that forgot what they were supposed to bring.
When you're in a situation like Burning Man, where people are very friendly and open, it helps you remember to be friendly and open to people whenever you can, to share, and it nurtures a lot of good qualities that get reinforced and then help me maintain that and share that
with people I encounter.
He is the creator and sustainer of all the worlds, whether those worlds are known or unknown to mankind.
Here I am up in the Sierras, hiked way up from camp. It's great up here. It's serene, it's calm, it's clean. On our way home back from Burning Man, it's something you can't put in words, can't capture it on film, can't capture it in photos. It's something you've just got to go there to experience.